With just $40 in his pocket, Walt Disney reached Hollywood in 1923 with a burning passion and drive to achieve his goals. Walt Disney's legacy and leadership is apparent to people around the world. But who really was Walt Disney, and what made him such an amazing leader with a legacy of unstoppable imagination? The life of Walter Elias Disney began on December 5, 1901 in Chicago, Illinois. Walt's parents, Flora Call Disney, a German-American, and Elias Disney, an Irish-Canadian, had a total of 5 children, including 4 boys and 1 girl. Walt's passion for painting and drawing began on a farm in Marceline, Missouri, where he spent most of his early childhood. Here, he began to sell his work to family and friends at just 7 years old. Due to poor health, Walt's dad, Elias Disney, was forced to sell the farm in 1911. When his family moved to Kansas City, Walt worked a newspaper route at 3:30 a.m. every day.
When I see something like Pinocchio or any of the other great classics, Bambi, you really can almost see the ideas and the creativity that must have originated during those years on the farm, and a very, very intimate bond with nature.
Walt's family returned to Chicago in 1917, where Walt attended McKinley High School and became a contributing cartoonist for the school paper. He furthered his passion for art and photography as he pursued them at the Chicago Academy of Fine Arts. At 16 years old, Walt dropped out of high school in hopes to join the army, but was denied due to his age. Instead of giving up, however, Walt joined the Red Cross, where he was sent to France to drive an ambulance. Walt's ambulance was filled with his doodles and cartoons, as he drew regularly on duty. Throughout his early life, you can see how Walt never gave up and worked hard for his passions, by selling his work at just 7 years old, taking art classes, and even driving an ambulance packed with his imagination. His work ethic rooted from his childhood as he worked round the clock. When Walt arrived home in 1919, he moved back to Kansas City to begin his career as a newspaper cartoonist. Roy Disney, Walt's brother, got him a job at a small art company called the Penson Rubin Art Studio, with a salary of $50 a month. Here he met cartoonist Iwerks, who would soon become Walt's best friend. Walt decided to open his own animation business in 1920 with his friend Iwerks after experimenting with hand-drawn animations. The company unfortunately failed after just 1 month. Walt and Iwerks went back to work in Kansas City and fortunately got jobs at the Kansas City Slide Company. Walt soon itched to start his own work again, and with $15,000 from bankers, began to create laugh-o-grams, which were advertisements, short films, and cartoons. Sadly, like before, laugh-o-grams went bankrupt. Walt felt defeated, but inspired to begin a new journey as he packed up his things and left for Hollywood. Walt's ability to never give up in times of great defeat truly displays his amazing character and drive to achieve his goals.
I would describe Walt Disney as determined. He was turned down multiple times by multiple people and was still able to follow his dreams.
Once Walt arrived in Hollywood, Roy and Walt created the Disney Brothers Studio when they landed a contract for the Alice Comedies, a live-action series including a young girl interacting with animated characters. Walt hired Iwerks and other animators, including Lillian Bounds, one of Walt's first employees, who he married on July 13, 1925 in Lewiston, Idaho. Charles Minns, a devious film distributor, contracted Walt Disney Studios in 1927 to make a series on a new character called Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. The animated series succeeded, and Minns tried to take over the studio. Walt quickly abandoned the character and decided he needed a new one. In 1928, Walt created Mickey Mouse, and on November 18, 1928, Steamboat Willie premiered at the Colony Theater in New York. Steamboat Willie became a huge sensation as it involved sound and animation. After Steamboat Willie, Silly Symphonies, a cartoon series including music and animation, began. A few years later, Walt's first daughter, Diane Disney, was born on December 18, 1933, and in 1936, Walt and Lillian adopted Sharon Disney. From this point on, one of Walt's main inspirations was his family. In 1939, Walt won an Academy Award, including 1 full-size Oscar and 7 miniatures for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the first full-length animated film. Produced at a production cost of $1,499,000 during the greatest economic disaster in the United States history, the Great Depression, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is one of the greatest monuments of the motion picture industry, making it one of Walt's greatest successes.
He showed constant devotion and drive to everything that he did. Why wouldn't anyone want to get behind that?
In the 5 years following Snow White, the Disney studio produced numerous full-length animated classics such as Pinocchio, Fantasia, Dumbo, and Bambi. By 1940, over 1,000 employees worked at the Disney studio, led by an influential and kind man, Walt Disney.
I think he was kind of a born performer, and it helped him be an entertainment leader because he had a sense, he had a sixth sense of what would go over with an audience.
During World War II, the Disney studio was very involved in propaganda that became essential to civilian and military morale. This propaganda included posters and even shorts. These short films ranged from comedies to important information. The animators at the studio strike and unionize in 1941 in demands for more money. During the Red Scare of 1947, a time of fearing communism, Walt testified before the House Un-American Activities Committee regarding the role of communist tension in the animators' strike at the studio. One of Walt's goals was to present education through entertainment. The Walt Disney Company released the True Life Adventure series in 1948, marking one of the earliest nature documentaries in the film industry. These documentaries taught the importance of conserving our nation's outdoor heritage. In 1950, Cinderella became Disney's first commercially successful animated feature since Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Walt Disney, whose artistry marked a new era in motion picture entertainment, now sets a new milestone with his first all-live action feature.
Treasure Island, Disney's first live-action movie, premiered the same year, marking another pivotal moment in Walt's career. Walt bought 244 acres of land near Anaheim, California in 1954 to be the location for Disneyland. Disneyland opened on July 17, 1955, and in just 4 decades, more than 400 million people, including presidents and royalty, endured in the Disney experience and culture. In 1961, Walt and Roy developed plans to create the California Institute of the Arts. This displays another example of Walt's amazing leadership and goal to leave a legacy of education and imagination.
But of course, the real legacy of Walt Disney was his commitment to quality and his commitment to breaking boundaries in entertainment. And here today, even as we work on Broadway shows like Frozen, I'm thinking not what would Walt do, but how could we do this today that it sort of exemplifies the way that Walt would have approached the material. Not what would Walt do, but what approach can we take that takes us into the future and into a new direction, which is what Walt would have done.
In 1964, Disney released Mary Poppins, which went on to be nominated for 13 Academy Awards. Mary Poppins marked Walt's ultimate success as it displayed all of his talents, perfected in one masterpiece.
And so we wrote a song called There's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow, shining at the end of every day. And I think that Walt loved that song. That was really his song. And I think that sums it up. I think he wanted people to believe that tomorrow is going to be better than today and think positive.
After a life of 65 years, filled with everlasting accomplishments, Walt died on December 15, 1966, from lung cancer. With having won 48 Academy Awards and 7 Emmys in his lifetime, Walt's death did not stop the Disney Company, but empowered it to continue Walt's legacy of creativity, education, and imagination. After 7 years of planning and 52 months of construction, Walt Disney World opened on schedule on October 1st, 1971. As being an alumni cast member of Mary Poppins on Broadway, I experienced firsthand just how magical the Disney Company really is. Not only was the whole cast treated exceptionally, but we were spreading Walt's legacy every single night. To this day, the Walt Disney Company is one of the largest grossing companies, as it brings inspiration and imagination to people around the world while bringing families together every day.
I hope you enjoy the show, and incidentally, have a handkerchief handy. If you're like me, you're not only going to laugh a lot, but you're going to shed a few happy tears.